Today we're going to be going over the ultimate guide to fishing. Now just stick around and enjoy the video. Okay, so when it comes towards fishing, fishing is by far one of the easiest gold farming secondary professions that you can actually do. Now this is by far one of the easiest ones, as you can literally just stand stationary and just gain materials. This is definitely something you would want to do if you are feeling lazy and or wanting to not do that much for a decent amount of gold for literally just clicking when a bobber bops. Now that being said, first of all we're going to need to learn our different expansion traits for leveling up our fishing. So that being said, let's get into learning. Now for the first one, for Vanilla, Burning Crusade, Wrath, Cataclysm, Mop and also WOD, is quite straightforward when it comes towards fishing. What you're going to be wanting to do is go over towards Stormwind at 54.8 to 69.6. You'll be wanting to find Arnold Leland, and basically he will teach you all of that in one go. He will be able to teach you all the way up from Vanilla towards WOD in all of the fishing traits, so you don't have to go to each and every expansion to learn all of your fishing. The same can be said for Lumac, which is located within Orgrimmar if you are Horde at 66.6 to 41.6. And that is definitely very helpful, as you do not have to go to any of the other different areas like Shafra City in order to learn all the other different types of fishing traits. Now moving over towards Legion fishing, all you're going to need to do is go over to the Broken Isles Dalaran at 52.6 to 65.6. What you're going to be wanting to do is find Marcia Chase, and she will be able to teach you Legion fishing. No other different types of things is required in order to learn this, so let's move on to BFA. For BFA, all you're going to need to do is head over to Borealis if you are Alliance at 74.16 to 50.71. And you'll be wanting to find Alan Goyle in Borealis, who will teach you BFA fishing. The same can be said if you are Horde for Silent Tail, and he is located within Desire Allure at 50.6 to 23.2. He'll be able to teach you your BFA fishing skills and then you are able to actually level up your fishing. Moving over towards Shadowlands, all you have to do is head over to Oribos if you are Horde and Alliance, and head over there at 46.28 to 26.33. You'll be wanting to find Retriever Alprin, and he'll be able to teach you Shadowlands fishing. So that being said, once we've actually learnt all of our different traits, now we're going to need to level up our fishing. And that means we're going to need to go over to each and every expansion in order to do some fishing. So that being said, I have comprised a list of all of the farms, so you are not going to be coming up short when you are trying to sell all of these materials on the auction house. Now, as for leveling up vanilla fishing, what you're going to be wanting to do is first off go over to the Barrens for Deviate Fish, and this is located outside the Whaling Caverns. What you'll be wanting to do is just sit there and fish up all of the area, and what you're going to be wanting to do is just either stay static and just fish in those pools, or you can go around and click on all of the nodes where you'll be able to fish in those pools in order to get more deviate fish, which you can sell on the auction house. Little side note, however, deviate fish sell for a hell of a lot of gold, and they don't take that long in order to sell in the grand scheme of things, as they're more of a cosmetic item than anything as of their abilities upon consumption once cooked. Now jumping over, once you are at least fishing skill level of around about 150 for vanilla fishing, you'll want to finish this off to get it to 300 by going over towards the Blasted Lands. All you have to do is go over to the coastline, anywhere in the coastline will do, and what you'll have to do is just stay static and just fish up raw white-scale salmon. Now raw white-scale salmon is probably the worst selling fish in all of this actual game, but we've got to remember that vanilla stuff doesn't sell that great, and deviate fish is the only real good one, but that won't get you maxed to your skill cap, so I tried to push it as far as it could go, but unfortunately we will have to spend another 150 skill points farming up raw white-scale salmon. Double check your sell rates on this if you have TSM, and this will be able to provide you if you are able to sell it on your server. But other than that, what you'll be wanting to do is just farm it up in the Blasted Lands. Now, coming in for the Burning Crusade, what you're going to be wanting to do is go over to the Isle of QUEL and farm up giant sunfish. This can be anywhere on the coastline once again, and what you're going to be wanting to do is just stay static and just fish up, fish up, fish up. Maybe watch a little bit of Netflix when you're actually doing this, or any other different type of thing. Hey, you could even binge watch my videos if you so wished. That being said, let's jump over to Wrath, and with Wrath it's kind of a real good one, which is located within the Howling Fjord. What you're going to be wanting to do is stay static or follow the nodes, and that is you to farm up pygmy suckerfish, as these can be turned into different oils with alchemy. The pygmy oil, so to speak, can sell for a hefty amount of gold, and the sell rate is pretty dang good, so you're actually going to be able to make some gold back if you have an alchemist to go alongside this. Other than that, the pygmy suckerfish sell on their own is in a okay manner when it comes towards selling them on the auction house, and they fetch a high price as well, so that is something you may want to take into account if you are leveling up your Wrath fishing. Now, jumping over towards Cataclysm, what you're going to be wanting to do is typically you can farm up anywhere in any one of those zones for Cataclysm, so Aldum and all that, but what I would actually recommend is farming up albino cavefish. Now, this is located within DEEPHOLM, and what you're going to be wanting to do is just go over towards the ledge in DEEPHOLM and just fish up in that area. I tend to follow the nodes as I find that that maxes me out the most, and overall I get a lot of albino cavefish, which is used to make deep stone oil for the Vial of the Sands melt. Failing that, if you want to pull in some more regular gold, if the Dark Moon Fair is up, go to the Dark Moon Island and farm up Dark Moon Daggermore, because Dark Moon Daggermore sells for a decent amount of gold and it sells relatively fast in the grand scheme of things, especially when the Dark Moon Fair is up. The next thing for Mr. Pandaria is you're going to be wanting to go over to any one of the pools, the Vale of Eternal Blossoms, and farming up the golden carp. Now, golden carp doesn't sell for an awful lot of gold, especially when it comes towards Mr. Pandaria stuff. The materials for Mr. Pandaria are kind of naff in the grand scheme of things, but you have a chance in the Vale of Eternal Blossoms of getting hold of one of the battle pets, the tiny carp, when you are actually farming up and leveling up within that zone you're fishing. So that is something you can bear in mind, and you'll be able to get some decent gold for that. Failing that, golden carp is good at actually selling on the auction house, so you're going to get some form of decent gold when you're actually doing this. Aside from that, let's move over to WOD, which is WOD. All you have to do really is go over towards your garrison and just start fishing up crescent saberfish, and that can be located in your fishing shack, which is in your garrison. This should not take you that long, but I would actually recommend leveling up your fishing shack, as this will open up a load more things that can actually drop from that as well if you are doing that farm to level up your WOD fishing. Now, jumping over towards Legion, I would highly recommend going over to AZSUNA, as there is multiple areas of water over there, as it is mainly a Naga based area. What I would recommend for doing this is just by sitting yourself down and farming up cursed queenfish. You can either farm up the nodes, or you can actually just stay static. I tend to just stay static, as I don't see that much of an increase when you're actually doing this. But cursed queenfish sells for an okay amount of gold. A lot of those materials have dropped in the actual value, as they aren't used for crafting anymore that much. So what you're going to be wanting to do is just try and hope that you actually get more mackerel than you do cursed queenfish, as the mackerel tends to sell pretty fast still, but the cursed queenfish does not. It goes for pretty much all of the other different types of Legion fishes out there. Other than that, what you're going to be wanting to do for BFA is farming up red-tail loach, which is in TIRAGUARD Sound. All you really have to do for BFA fishing is just by parking yourself next to the fishing trainer and just start fishing. This is probably the best way I've gone about doing this, and I managed to get maxed pretty dang fast, as you don't really need to do anything, as the water's right next to the trainer. You can just start fishing and just keep fishing and keep fishing, and you'll be able to get a load of red-tail loach for you in order to sell on the auction house. Funny thing of note, however, red-tail loach is one of the ones that is still selling quite well, so that is something to keep an eye on if you are a gold farmer watching this video. Now, aside from all of that, what you're going to be wanting to do is for Shadowlands fishing is I would highly recommend going over towards Revendreth. Now, the reason Revendreth has been picked is over across the regions of Shadowlands, the spine-fin piranhas, out of all of the other fish, are the ones that sell for the most gold. As its current content, these are going to be heavily used and they're going to sell quite fast, so we're going to have to pick the best farm overall for you. If you wanted to price match this, you can always go over towards WorthIt, as it will tell you underwater fishing that which one will do the best for your server, so move over to that if it is performing a lot better for you. But overall, in the grand scheme of EU and US, it tends to be the spine fin piranhas that do the best gold per hour for you. This is where you'll need to actually find some pools within Revendreth. I usually go over towards the black market auction house vendor and then just parking myself outside of it, fishing up all of those waters in order to get some decent gold. Now, that being said, let's move over to buffs towards fishing. Now, what you're going to be wanting to do is actually go over to Shadowlands and go into Oribos. What I would recommend for the buffs for this one is baits. Now, Shadowlands has a load of different baits that you can get through fishing and also from the vendor. Highly recommend actually doing this because it does increase the amount of specific fish that you're actually going to be getting a hold of, and you can get this from a fishing supplies vendor which is right next to the trainer at the beginning of this video. So I would highly recommend picking up a load of Shadowlands baits, especially if you are doing the spinefin piranha one. I would highly recommend picking up the baits for that if you're going to be sat there leveling up your Shadowlands fishing. The only other buff that I can really suggest actually getting a hold of is the Underlight Angler quest line, and that is where you'll be able to do a massively long quest chain in order to get your artifact for the Underlight Angler fishing rod. Now, this does take quite a while in order to get a hold of, but it does pay off in the long run, especially if you're going into new expansions in the future and you do intend to use fishing in the future to keep up to date with maxing out and also pulling in regular gold. The Underlight Angler fishing rod is definitely a quest chain in Legion to actually level up and do. Aside from all of that, guys, that is pretty much my ultimate guide towards fishing, and other than that, have a lovely rest of the day and I shall see you in the next video, which will be soon.
If you want to support the channel and help make the channel even better, then why not check out the Patreon. Members get additional info, gold making resources and Patreon specific content. The link is located in the description down below. Thank you and have an awesome day.